Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 1958 Plymouth Fury. Now this has 1750 horsepower, 1475 pounds-feet of torque from its 7.4 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine. The car itself now weighs 3,194 pounds, has off-road tyres, all-wheel drive and off-road suspension, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 3.005 seconds, 0 to 100 in 5.437 seconds, and go to a top speed of 262 miles an hour. So yeah, don't have the highest of expectations for this, quite frankly, because yes, the launch, acceleration and top speed are all really rather good, but the handling stat is really on the down low for a car of this amount of power. Braking is decent, but hardly spectacular for the kind of speeds that this thing might get up to, and yeah, the off-road stat even isn't all that brilliant either. The only saving grace is the fact that this is part of several other American classic cars that was taken out in the series, with the likes of the Dodge Coronet Super B and the fellow Plymouth Barracuda Formula S doing reasonably well, with the Dodge in 10th place and the Plymouth in 13th. So yeah, there is some history on this series of American classics doing rather well, but not quite sure this is going to be one of them, especially with those massive overhangs that it's got going on, especially at the rear. So yeah, let's get out there and see what it can do. But yeah, all this might have going for it is the fact it's got really rather soft suspension, even in stock form, and that's only been raised higher. So yeah, it should have uber soft suspension, which should hopefully help with the bumps and the jumps. But outside of that, yeah, not much else going for this outside of straight line speed. So yeah, who knows? Cars on this series have surprised me before that on paper looked a little bit unwieldy, so hopefully this won't be the case. It's poor performance, but you never know on this series. It can go literally either way with so many different kind of cars. Even ones that you expect to be quick on off-road conditions have sometimes not been that fast. So yeah, let's see what Christine can do. What name I've given her, but let's see what's off the film if you've ever seen that. So I'm not going to be hunting down any school bullies, that's for sure. So far it's been pretty sedate. It's definitely quick in terms of straight line speed though, which I guess is no surprise given the huge amount of power and the fact that it doesn't weigh all that much, especially for a car of this age and size. Clearing 140 over the big jump there, which was a hard landing, but survived it just about. Fair bit of understeer in that corner there, which is not going to prove helpful in the tighter corners. Now obviously this does have a far larger engine up front. They had a 5.7 litre V8 in stock form. Certainly had no turbochargers included in that. Still, it's holding its own fairly well so far. No idea where it's going to come on the leaderboard though, because it's really hard to judge at this point. But that 4.0 handling stat really isn't proving to be all that detrimental, quite frankly. Handling a lot better than I expected it to. Flies down the straights as well, nearly 160 down there. Would we be on for a surprise? It's potentially going to be the case given how much speed it's got going on at times, but it's definitely a little bit ungainly in the corners. Have to really be rather unsophisticated in getting through those corners by just sliding it around. No pinpoint precision or hitting the apex or anything like that on this with this car. Sliding around through that barrier, won't slow it down too much. A bit of understeer there. That is a big surprise with that time. That is massively surprising. 3 minutes 15.587. That is quicker than both the Barracuda and the Coronet Super B to become the fastest classic American car that we've had on this series so far, and by some quite margin as well, as that's nearly 2 seconds quicker than the Coronet, and pretty much 2 seconds bang on quicker than the Barracuda. So that is really impressive. That is so quick, in fact, that it's actually gotten into 4th place of all things. A 1950s car has gotten into 4th place, beating the Brabham BT262, the Lotus Avaya, the Peugeot 207 Super 2000, the Extreme E, the Sierra Cars Yokohama Alpha, the Liberty Toyota Tacoma, and knocking the Dodge Coronet out of the top 10. So, surprising or what, especially given that handling stat, which really did put a downer on my expectations of this car. But to get into 4th place and be comfortably the oldest car in there, as it's the next oldest car is 1986, so that's a 28-year gap between that and the next oldest car. That Metro though from 1986 is still firmly in 2nd place, but this is in 4th, and it's certainly not the kind of car you'd expect to get into a top 5 on an off-road course like this. So to be only behind an Aston Martin 177 by less than half a second, and only just over a second slower than a classic MG Metro 6R4 rally car, is also really impressive. But obviously the Hot Wheels 2 Jets is still comfortably in 1st with more than 3 seconds over this car. So but still not going to be a downer on this car given how impressive it was. So just goes to show that a car that isn't technically going to be good on an off-road course can also be quicker than you'd expect, and this is a prime example of that. Nonetheless though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.